Hello everyone, my name is Alan, I'm the lead developer of Soulstone Survivors, and today we're back with another Dev Talk. This is our fourth video in the series, and in these videos we talk a bit about how the game is developing, where we're going, what our future plans is. And this is actually a very special one because I think we're finally holding into what the full release version of the game will look like. I have a phone here with me today. It's not a paper, unfortunately. It's my wife's phone. I had to steal to take my notes. But today I want to talk to you about all the cool stuff we have in store and also what might be coming after the full release. I think that the game right now, to be really fair, is really in a good place. I think there is already a lot of content and there are some areas we haven't spent it as much, and these are the next ones we're working on. And so if you're interested in learning more, just stay tuned and let's get to it. One thing I wanted to get out of the way before we really start the video is that every time we make one of these videos, someone leaves in the comment, hey, are these guys Brazilian? I recognize that accent. And yes, we're all Brazilian. The whole team is Brazilian. So, vai Brazil, and let's keep going. Since our last Dev Talk, we released two major updates, and they were the Unholy Cathedral and the Embrace of Chaos. And with those, we brought the first game mode, which is the Unholy Cathedral. We brought a new character, the Demon Hunter. We brought a lot of performance upgrades, and these were in areas we were working on for a long time. So, new collision system. It has basically remade the entire negative effects from the ground up, so they are super efficient right now. And this actually introduced some of the hairiest bugs we have had since the beginning of the game. Those are finally, thank gods, thank you for your patience and your help in Discord. You guys really made a difference, really helped us get to the root of the problem. But there is also some stuff we're working in the background that I haven't really shared much yet, just because it's still subject to change, but I'll talk about that today. And to get right into it, to what are we working on, what is the new stuff you can expect over the next few updates and up until the full release, let's get to it. So the first thing we want to talk about is actually the most boring topic, which is performance improvements, right? We've made a lot of changes, I just said, but there are still a lot of areas we have to improve. So one of them is the damage numbers, and this might seem silly, but they actually use quite a lot of performance, and these are still being reworked. They're being made from the ground up. Another big thing for performance we've worked on are the experience crystals, and we basically redone them from the ground up. This is still only in our internal version. We didn't release with the latest update, but basically we do them. Oh, yeah. Basically bringing them all to the GPU side, and this basically makes them free. We have a video in our devlog that has 100,000 of these crystals being instanced and collected, and it's all in real time, and there is basically no performance hit at all. You can go and check out, I'll put a link in the description. And it's actually really rewarding to watch, and it actually gives us a few ideas, a few things that that we couldn't do before, but now we can, since it's so fast. And, I think that the next big thing that we're working on in terms of performance are the projectiles, right? This is a big focus for us, but it's not an easy part, just because there are so many projectiles, literally thousands being created and destroyed every second. And this combined with everything else, right, with a lot of enemies, with a lot of effects, with calculating damage for each of these, with showing the feedback of where they hit and blah blah blah, to be honest, is actually quite fast already. But we're trying to find where we can have big gains, and this will be towards the particle systems that show, the projectile itself. It will be towards the physics of how that is calculated as well, because it's a different system. Some things we still don't know exactly what we're going to do, to be honest. So we're evaluating the code, but it is definitely coming, and it's something we think is pretty much crucial to have the game reach its full release state. So stay tuned for those. And with that said, I'd like to move on to the next point, which is mod support, which is a really fun feature that we have been talking about months and months ago, and it's still not here. And it's just because it is a lot of work, and as I said, we usually have to work on this, work on that, and then we shift our focus and this and that. And mod support has been the back burner for a long time, and we're in a state where it is really close to being shippable, to be able to give it to your hands and see the crazy stuff you guys come up with. At first, it will be very simple, to be honest. Will be more towards skins and how the models come into the game, and creating new weapon visuals and whatnot, new characters. Uh, and we might expand it later on if this is something you guys are interested in. We'll really see how it works, but we're putting a lot of effort into making sure that everyone has a chance to express their creativity and share their mods with the world. We're trying to make the process very simple, very easy, so that's why it takes quite a while. We didn't want it to be a super specialized thing that only few people can do. So yeah, hopefully you guys will enjoy it, and I'm actually really curious to see how it will go once it's released. And there are, I made a few points here that are the obvious points. There are things we've been working on, we have promised since the beginning, which are the new characters. There are now only 4 characters coming, and these are now pretty much advanced in our internal builds. We've been working on them in parallel, so we already have a lot of the models, a lot of the assets. I'm really excited about them because the visuals are turning out so cool that it's I think it will be among the favorites for most of you guys. Some of those have been requested by for since the beginning of the game, since before the demo really hit. So this is something I think some of you will really enjoy. And with that comes, ascensions, runes, skills. There are still 100 skills coming to the game, which is a bit crazy to think about, like given how much there is already in the game. You know, then there are the legendary weapons, which are still coming. They will probably be among one of the last things we'll add because we want to first finish the characters, make sure they all are cool or interesting, and then the legendary weapons come on top to make sure that all characters are, all they can be. They're polished and they offer all the play styles that we want them to have. Then there are the artifact powers, of course. We're adding them slowly. With every update, we add a couple here and there. But of course, all characters will have them. There are Ascension Improvements coming. Some of those, they have been in development or actually just in design process for a while. And I think that the two major ones that will see the biggest changes are the Legionnaire and the Houndmaster. I think those two are Ascensions that, at first when we thought about them, we wanted them to be different. All Ascensions should feel different. And so we were okay that they had a very different ramp up mechanic, and but in the end, I think that the Houndmaster turned out to be a bit a bit plain, because after you really feed your dogs, there is nothing else to it, and they never go hungry again based on how the numbers are. So it's not really something you think about. It just doesn't feel like an Ascension. And the Legionnaire, while I really like the idea that we have today, to be really honest, I think that in practice it doesn't really work as well, because as you build the catapults, and they actually can be quite strong, it doesn't feel like you're achieving much. It's so gradual, the curve of power, and it starts like nothing and then it's a lot at the end. But it's not the same feeling that the other Ascensions give you, that is, the burst of power. So that's why those two are probably the biggest ones that will be refactored quite a lot, and we're working on it. They should be released pretty soon. Then we get to the actually juicy stuff that I want to talk to you about today. And these are the game modes. I made a lot of notes here, and it's just because I didn't want to forget anything that I wanted to talk to you guys today. So first, it's going back to the Unholy Cathedral, right? We released it. This was the first game mode for us. It took a long time to develop because we tested and tested and tested, and suddenly that was not fun, and this is not fun, and then we changed and this and that. And then once we showed that to players, we also got a lot of feedback, and we also changed it a lot. We wanted to really try different things. And in general, the feedback we got was actually really positive. I think most players really enjoyed how it shakes up the game. but it didn't click for everyone. We know that some of you found it a bit boring or really didn't like the experience of having to come up with different builds, and you get strong and then you get weak again and strong again. So I get where the feedback is coming from, and we're learning from it. So we noticed from the Holy Cathedral that some things are a bit of a no-go zone. Some things we cannot do just because they will not feel good in the game. And this, honestly, a lot of it comes from feedback. From just watching you guys play and feeling what you guys are looking for in the game. A lot of the players really enjoyed how it changes the meta, how it shakes things up, how some characters that are not as good in endless mode are actually really good here because of their ascensions and whatnot. How some skills saw a lot more use in this mode because they're kind of forced to try different skills. So I think that there were a lot of positives to take from the Unholy Cathedral, but I think that there were a lot of positives to take from the Unholy Cathedral, but we also know that this didn't click like this for everyone. Fucking hell. You might have noticed that the hour is different, like it's darker. Man, as I was recording the video, I noticed a spider in my face. You guys will probably see that in the video. I don't know when or where, but it kind of got me off guard. I pretty much forgot what I was talking about. Then I've been trying to get back to it, but then I had a meeting, so I had to go somewhere else, do it. Then I came back, and then I'm now gonna finish recording the video about the game modes, which is the part I was more excited to talk about. So yeah, let's get back to it, shall we? For us as developers, I think it's super important to understand why and how we could be better. How can we do better in the next game mode? What can we do moving forward? And with that in mind, I think that our biggest learning is really how we can meddle with player power, right? The game is all about player power. It's about creating super cool builds that really explode everything, right? It's about really getting our power level super high. But it's not just about the strategy of doing that. It's also about the process of feeling that power once you get there, and the Holy Cathedral conflicts a little bit with that. I think overall it is a really positive game mode for the game. I'm really happy with how it turned out, but that changed our plans for future game modes a little bit. I think we're trying to do a little bit too much. I think that we had some very ambitious and very different ideas for game modes, and I think with the experience of the Unholy Cathedral, it really helped us focus on what is important for the game. And this is the part that I'm more excited about right now. It's just, I think we finally decided, we'll probably only have one new game mode, but this will be a massive one. We'll put basically our effort into this one new feature. And, I can't share too much just because it's so early, but basically, we're now honing in, getting what is great about the game and expanding it, of how you can build your character, how you can get to extreme levels of power, and how to give you more tools, even more tools to allow you to do that in different ways, and really exploring different challenges. So with my phone here, I have a few notes that I wanted to go through. Basically, the focus of this new game mode is really the character progression, right? It's giving you additional ways to really build your character. And what this will mean is basically a whole new power-up system. So we'll add a ton of new types of power-ups, new ways that you can get stronger in a match, and new ways for you to get those power-ups. Because one of our biggest concerns right now is really we cannot really add more power-ups because that would pollute the pool of power-ups you get every level. So what we thought about was, let's make a different way in which you get these power-ups, like make completely different pool of power-ups, and basically these two will work uh, in different layers, let's put it this way. They won't compete because they are basically gaining different ways. This is kind of similar to what you get in the Unholy Cathedral with the unique power-ups, that you get at the end of each cycle. So you can expect more of that, and in a different way. There will be maybe a few things you have to do to get those power-ups, and we'll see. Another cool thing is, just basically adding more content to the game. So this new game mode, it revolves all around the idea of building the world out. Like right now we have the 5 maps, we have the Unholy Cathedral. This all feels a bit disconnected, and we feel that as well. So with this new game mode, we want to start bringing more of the sense of this is all a cohesive world. This all makes sense together. And by doing that, this will mean the addition of quite a few new maps, quite a few new bosses, quite a few new enemies. I cannot really get into the numbers yet, but it is quite a bit, because since now we can really focus into just doing this one massive game mode, uh, it will really bring a lot of diversity to the gameplay. There are a few other systems involved, so I'm trying to measure what I can say. If I stick to my notes, that's pretty much it. So but basically imagine that this new game mode will really play into the core strengths of the game today. So it is about getting extremely strong. It's about growing to crazy levels, about facing new bosses that will challenge your build, that will really make it hard for you to progress. But if you got the right build and the right strategy, you can do it. So it's really expanding the game in the way that it wants to be expanded. Instead of creating something completely out of what out of what the normal game is. And I think that, honestly, as we started developing this and we're starting playing out with it, it really feels great. So I'm really excited, and we'll definitely be sharing more about it in the weeks and months to come. It will probably be still a little bit before it's ready, but it's shaping up pretty cool. And there was one bonus point that I wanted to comment with you, and it relates to the whole idea of building out the world of the game. You know, so right now we get every now and then we get messages from players saying, the game is fun, but what am I even doing? I'm going there killing guys, and that's fine, that's fun, but why? Why am I doing this? How does it all work together? And since the very beginning, we do have a good idea of what the lore is. Why is there these guys? Why are they fighting together against these monsters? Why are they getting these crystals to get stronger and whatnot? And we just never got to a point where we managed to communicate that in the game, just because we always focus very heavily on the mechanics, on the gameplay itself. And now that we're happy with where the majority of the gameplay is, of course there is new stuff coming. uh, it finally gives us some opportunity to start exploring the world a little bit more and really developing this world. And again, I don't want to share too much. It's just because stuff is still in development, but honestly, we got some really cool surprises coming up before the full release of the game. We'll see how much of it we can do, how much we can fit into the game. It is really a challenge, but we want you to feel in the game without me having to tell you what the lore is. Want you to understand what the purpose is of the Void Hunters, of what is going on in the world, what is happening, why are these monsters there. So, I just wanted to touch that this is something that is important for us. I think it's something we're super excited about. It's something we wanted to do since the beginning. We just never had the time. And I think that as we get closer to the full release, then it's really important we do it. It's now is the time. Right now it needs to be a priority for us. So yeah, you can expect some cool stuff to be revealed in game over again the next couple months, few months, till the beginning of next year and whatnot. And guys, I think that's it. I don't want this to be too long one. I don't want to just talk too much. Oh yeah, the one last point I had here is we updated our roadmap and we'll post that on Steam very soon. We haven't yet. We're just dealing with a few less details, localization, whatnot. So we want to make sure it's available for everyone. But we'll post it on Steam very soon. Basically, we'll talk about all the stuff I just talked about, but it will be a friendly reminder, and we'll also compare with our old roadmap and what changed. We'll talk about why things changed. Some of the stuff in the old roadmap got cut out, and again, it's just because of how we learn from the game. So it stuff plans just make more sense now. Now that we have a much more solid game, it allows us to think a little bit different from what we did before. So yeah, plans change, and I hope you guys will understand. But I'm also honestly so much more excited about the stuff we're doing now than what we had planned 2 years ago. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it. If you guys like this video, please let us know in the comments. It really means a lot. Like, making these videos is honestly a pleasure. If I might say, it's just cool to really get these ideas out there. Maybe sometimes I speak even too much. Maybe sometimes I regret trying some stuff because then it creates this responsibility on our side. Uh, but I'm just excited about the game, about the plans, and I hope you guys are too. There's still a lot coming. There's still a lot to do, a lot of work ahead of us. Oh yes, I mentioned that I was gonna say what happens at the end of all of this. What happens when 1.0 comes out? And honestly, I still don't know. We're still developing those plans, but what I do know is that there will definitely be content post-release. The release is a big milestone. It is important for the health of the game. It's important for new players coming in really and understanding that okay, this game is now considered complete. It won't change drastically from here forward. So it is a very important milestone, but it's not the end for us. We have so many other plans we want to explore. There are other game modes we have in mind. We just need more time. So we'll see. We'll see. It really depends, honestly, on how things go. But we're all super excited, and you can definitely expect a lot of new stuff coming after the full release. So don't think that that is the end, because it's definitely not. Yeah. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your patience. It has been a pleasure. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.